Yeah, we'll get to these. I get some old National Geographic, some, I don't know, fairly old, slightly old, fairly rare. We'll get to those shortly. Well, I think we've got to the end of stage one, basically. Basically, your polystyrene and your perlite, chuck on the top, pretty good. You can rip out these so-called shop boards, settle them in, and you can settle them in on a really hot day. They don't collapse on you and do that sort of thing. I've had 3 snaps, 1, 2, 3 insect captures, and if we go to spot culling, you can see there's a new leaf coming out there that's quite good. Still going sort of down there. I don't know if you're getting any light on there at the moment, but it's quite dark red down there. Getting some sort of reddening on the roots down there. This one starting to, I've put in some, what do you call these things? Rock melons. And I got a new picture coming up on there. I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, it probably looks a little bit better from around on this side if I can get the camera without pressing any buttons off. So you go down there. Okay, sort of thing. Anyway, so that's not bad. What's that? Is it 5 weeks this Monday since potting up? Is it 5 weeks or is it 6 weeks? I have to check it out. But it's not bad. You can see, and oh yeah, this other picture here. This one here, I don't know, it's actually almost going to make the size, I reckon, when it's fully finished. Not quite, almost, so that's not bad. Ripping out of the pot, going through 42, 41 and 40 degree days directly following the planting, and another 38, 37, 37 days, a couple of weeks later, or a few weeks later, I think. And so I put a few in here, sort of see if we can get some germination on those. A few in there. Oh, I've got a seed there from a video. Oh yeah, some of these pictures some of these leaves are starting to make a move. That doesn't turn out to be a dandelion, it's something else. So, okay, and what I've learned from the manganese dioxide, it doesn't seem to affect the growth after the organism has grown, but it does seem to delay the organism when it's starting up. So you can see it's just sort of going around the meat there in the polystyrene, so it's in this reductive flannel gas environment, and we've primed it, of course, but you can see it's not going through the whole pot, it's just staying around where the meat source is. So I'm assuming it's taking something away that's coming off the meat that the organism likes to grow on, and it's somehow interacting in some way with that, whether it's locking it up, whether it's preventing certain reactions from going on, but it doesn't seem to affect the end stage. So a little bit like this, we got the raw egg and we got the cooked egg, and we found that the best way to go was with raw egg plus a piece of cooked meat, placed probably halfway down the container, so it's not in the top zone, it's not down the bottom. But we did notice that the one placed down the bottom, it took a hell of a long time to get going, but when it did, it was almost better in a way. So just to keep in mind. So the manganese doesn't seem to affect the organism after it's grown, but it does seem to have some sort of inhibitory effect on the organism's ability to get its nutriment in a way. So we'll see how we go. So basically this is the end of stage one, as I was saying. We've now got a potting medium that's got no peat in it whatsoever. We've also discovered there's a problem with sand. There's a problem with sand, and we've got to work out, and as I said, this one is quite reddening up there sort of thing. So yeah, anyway, with 5 minutes on the card, I'm thinking there's only one logical area to go into, and that's calcium. It's got to be some problem with calcium, I would say, because we've done everything else. and we've taken the sand out of the equation. We've now taken the peat out of the equation. We've got an alternative method that's really good, works on shop boards, even shop boards that stops them from collapsing. You can put them in, rip them out, put them on the hottest day possible, and they still survive, and they stabilise fairly quickly within a matter of 3 or 4 days, the same sort of length of time it takes for the organism to pink. So maybe there's a connection there. Now, I'm suggesting to you, all these stories you go online are talking about people trying to grow lichens and lichenise their walls and things like that. They spray around, yogurt and milk and things like that around it. And if you go online with YouTube, there's a lot of blogs, little bloggy videos saying it doesn't work. I've tried all this bullshit they talk about, mixing this up and blah blah blah, mix it up with electric mixer and all this thing, put a bit of moss in and grind it up and all that, and they say it doesn't work. And there's one particular good video when he goes through the whole process, he puts it on the wall and it just doesn't even do anything basically. And I'm thinking, it's like we've had like 200 years of bullshit. Whoever's actually got the answer is keeping stum about it, and they're misdirecting you, sort of thing. And I reckon, since we've discovered that egg is a reductive protein and it can reduce copper, I reckon it's probably something like they get some egg and they mix in some chalk, and somehow the egg reacts with the chalk, whether it reduces the chalk, and if you can reduce copper. Now, does it reduce the chalk, or because it can reduce copper, it actually, when one element gets reduced, another one gets oxidised? It's a redox reaction. So we know it can't be Ca double plus, because plants don't like the Ca double plus. So it's got to be something other than that, I would say. So is it a calcium 1? Is it a calcium 3 or a calcium 4? Heaven forbid could it be calcium 0, which is calcium metal itself. Calcium metal is quite reactive, but could it be stabilised onto the sand with the silicon dioxide? So you got the grey sand is really just calcium metal attached to the sand. Could it be like that? I mean, that's really far-fetched, but I've got to keep it in the back of your mind, because if egg is a reductive protein, if we try it on the chalk and it goes grey, very similar grey looking, like of course it should conduct electricity. If you've actually got calcium metal there attached to it, surely it should conduct in some way, in some manner or fashion, electricity. So that's one way of testing whether it is or not, and whether we're in fantasy land there, or it has any plausibility. While it's attached to the sand, you can actually send a current through the sand. I don't know. Grey sand actually can contain. What's the word I'm looking for? Carry a current. Don't know. Maybe someone will go and test the sands over and done it. Lo and behold, geez, they do. They conduct electricity. Blah blah blah. I don't know. It's more likely it's going to be something like calcium 1, or it could be an oxidative product, calcium 3 or calcium 4. But of course, first of all, you've got to get it working. So you've got to test some out and see if it actually makes the plants grow better. And of course, therefore you have the possibility of confusion between copper and calcium. So is this reduced or oxidized form of calcium a bit like your copper sulfate sort of thing, and the plants can't tell the difference? They want the calcium, but they can't tell the difference between the copper and the calcium, so they just take up the copper like anything and kill themselves. Is that what it is? Or is it the copper is inhibiting the pathway that they go down with the calcium to actually grow the organism? Or is it a matter that we're just stopping the organism, therefore the plants can't grow because the organism's not growing, So we've got to work all that out, and that's probably basically part 2, which we can do with something like this now, because we've got no peat there, so we've just taken peat right out of the equation. We've taken the sand out of the equation, but we've got to look at the sand, because when we get the answer, can we make the sand as good as perlite, or can we actually make the sand better than perlite, or can we make the perlite, turn it into super perlite by adding our form of calcium? I don't know if we can get there. I don't know. But would they explain it? Someone adds a bit of chalk to a bit of egg, it looks white, and when someone asks them what it is, they say it's yogurt. Or someone asks them what it is and they say it's milk. And of course, lo and behold, you go, and maybe they give you a sample that's got some egg in it. You go off and it works because they've got the egg in it, but when you go to try to make it up later on, or someone else makes it up down the track, you don't even use any egg. You're using milk or you're using yogurt, and it doesn't work because there's no egg there. There's no reductive protein there. Is that what it is? So you're not making your special form of calcium. That's what I'm trying to suggest. Anyway, I'll start a new video looking at those National Geographics, I think.